And welcome back to the Randy Rose Show, the Randy Rose Report. Today we're going to talk about race. Now everybody's calling somebody a racist. Oh, you don't like his policy on such and such, you're a racist. Oh, you don't like this, you're a racist. Well, let me explain to you exactly what a racist is, okay? You got two types of people. You got a racist, then you got a non-racist. A racist judges everything on skin color and sees every issue through the prism of race and talks about race all the time and applies everything to race. That is a racist. A non-racist looks to a man's heart, to a man's actions, or woman. I'm not saying, it's just men. What's in your heart? What actions are you taking? What do you believe? What are you saying? Not what's the color of your skin, or anything like that. Another thing that brings up race is reparations. Reparations for slavery from those whites. Well, I got news for you. The first person that was a slave owner in the United States of America was a gentleman by the name of Anthony Johnson. He came over as an indentured servant. So he came over, worked for a man gave him passage to come to America. He worked his land for 7 years. At the end of 7 years, he was given a parcel of land and given his freedom. That's what indentured servants did. Well, Anthony Johnson now had his patch of land, and he decided to bring over an indentured servant. Well, the indentured servant did his full 7 years, asked for his land, asked for his freedom. Anthony Johnson said, "No. John Kaysen, you are my slave." Well, John Kayson's like, "Nah, I don't think so. I'm an indentured servant. I'm not a slave. So if you're not going to do this for me, I'm going to go over and work for Mr. Parker." So he walks away from Anthony Johnson and the agreement that they had on the indentured servancy for 7 years, and basically wasted 7 years of his life. Goes over to Mr. Parker. Mr. Parker makes a deal with him to be his indentured slave for a period of time. He'll give him land, and he will give him his freedom. Well, Anthony Johnson didn't like that one iota. So he went to a federal court in Virginia in 1655. You can look it up. It's in the court records. And basically said, Mr. Parker stole my slave. And the judge, I don't know what he was doing. Maybe he was smoking marijuana because it was legal back then. He went ahead and said, okay, Mr. Parker, you win the lawsuit. And that's what created slavery. Anthony Johnson, or not Mr. Parker, but Anthony Johnson won the lawsuit. Mr. Parker lost the lawsuit. Anthony Johnson was black. John Kaysen was black. So the creator of slavery in the United States is a black man, Anthony Johnson, whom many black men today are called Anthony Johnson. And John Kaysen was the first slave. Now, with that precedence, it created more slavery. There were Irish slaves. There were all kinds of different color slaves. But when people want to equate slavery with racism, that's racist too. So there you go. Again, race is anything that you base on the color of skin. Non-racist is anything you base on what's in their heart and what's in their deeds. And that's the difference between what's racist and what's not racist. Now, a lot of your liberals will be out there trying to call Republicans racist. I was talking to this one person about the Fair Tax Act, and I've already done a show about the Fair Tax Act. And there was a liberal in there, and the first thing he did was turn around and said, well, what do you think about illegal immigration? And I'm like, well, I guess you just said it. It's illegal, therefore it's illegal. Oh, you are racist. So, there you go. The left calls people racists because they themselves are racists. Just remember this. When you hear the Democrats calling the Republicans names, i.e. racist, rich, white, old white men, and all that stuff, it's what the Democrats are trying to cover up what they're doing by basically blaming everything on the Republicans. And they have more money. They've got the richest people on the planet in their party. They've got the media in their back pocket. Their message goes out so fast, but if you want to hear the Republican message, it's like, I'm over here, I'm over here. You can't hear it because they don't have any money. Like the Democrats have all the money. So then the Democrats say, well, the Republicans don't have a plan. Because you can't hear it, because the Republicans can't pay the media to put it out there, because the Republicans are not rich. It's the Democrats who are rich. And it's the Democrats who are racist. I mean, just look at the history. They wanted to keep slavery. After a Democrat killed a Republican, Abraham Lincoln, of which now the Democrats are trying to say Abraham Lincoln was a Democrat, and that's not true. And then just go through history and you'll see that it's always the Democrats killing Republicans. Martin Luther King was a Republican. A Democrat shot and killed him too. But the thing is even after slavery was abolished, the Democrats were still running around hanging blacks. So the Republicans had to make it illegal to hang blacks. And then back in 1957, when the Republicans tried to get civil rights for blacks, the Democrats said no. Tried again in 1964. Finally, with the help of Dr. Martin Luther King, you could get it done. But the bottom line is, everything you look through race is racist. If you look in what's in their heart, then you're not a racist. And that's the bottom line. Thanks for listening. We might have more about this later on. You've been listening to the Randy Rose Report. Signing off.